Hey MYWYA tribe, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, we're glad to have you. My name is Asia, your spiritual theorizer, and I assist you on your human condition by providing you a space to connect, explore, and love your authentic self. Today, I want to talk about insanity loops. So I thought that Insanity Loops was a really good video to start this channel off with, because this is the crux of why, if you ever thought about why you're not progressing in life, society's not progressing, what is going on, why is history repeating itself, and everything like that. So, first of all, let's define what an insanity loop is. And I created my own little definition, so I'm going to read it real quick. So, first, what is a loop? A loop is, according to the Webster Dictionary, a programming structure that repeats a sequence of instructions until a specific condition is met. So that's what a loop is. And then we all know the definition of insanity: performing the same action expecting a different result. So when you put those two together, an insanity loop is performing the same loop expecting a different result. And society is in an insanity loop. You have your own insanity loop. I have my own insanity loop. And these loops are, they can be as many as you can think of. They can be one. Most people have multiple. So let's kind of look at what an example of an insanity loop. So an obvious one is what we all deal with in codependent relationships. So you enter the loop, you meet somebody, you provide some type of hole, or you fill a void that they are missing. And that's the baseline of codependency, and where codependency can start to fester. So you're in this relationship, and say your partner starts to decrease their intention of the relationship. So maybe they start to cheat on you, maybe the communication is rough, and you get angry and you're like, I'm gonna leave this person. I'm tired of this, I'm tired of this. And the person, so you express your thoughts to the person, and the person says, oh, I'm gonna change, I'm so sorry. And then you forgive them, and then you're good again for a little bit. So then something else happens where that person does the same thing again. Maybe they cheat on you. Let's go to an extreme example that some people put, the behaviors they put up with. Maybe they cheat on you, and you're like, no, this is the last time. I'm done with this. I'm so tired of dealing with this. And you threaten to leave. You threaten to take the kids. You threaten to, expose them. You go and break their windows. The loop continues. The person apologizes. They may bring you some flowers. They may treat you to a nice dinner. They may end the relationship with that particular person outside of the third party. They may do all these gestures just to kind of loop you back in. So now, as you can see, you're in a cycle. You're in a cycle of highs and lows, emotional stability, and emotional distress. And it involves another person. Now, that's just one example of an insanity loop, where you keep doing the same things, you keep forgiving this person, you keep taking them back, expecting things to change. But things do not change, because there's root to the problem. There's codependency, there are other issues that need to be worked out. SD card was full, so I had to spend all this time trying to get the storage together. Y'all know how it is. So sorry if it looks a little bit different. So now that I have explained to you an example of an insanity loop, we're going to take that example and we're going to go ahead and bring it into the format and the structure of how an insanity loop actually works. What is the mechanism? So how does an insanity loop begin? Like everything and most things, it starts in childhood, where the patterns that we have established over a period of time was upheld by the fear of punishment, the avoidance of punishment, the ability to gain connection, and to cope with negative emotions. So we develop these patterns of relating to our primary caregiver in order to establish safety, pretty much. And these patterns are coping mechanisms. They are not necessarily how we should be interacting, but how did we cope in order to get our needs met. Okay, so now that we've established how we get into them, let's talk about why they even occur. So insane loops occur because there is a split within yourself. There's a fragment. There's one side of you that wants to do something, that wants to progress, that wants to keep moving forward, wants to be out of a loop. And then there's another side of you that is basically that dissenting voice that says, it's not safe. We don't know what's out there. That trope. You'll fail. Or it'll be things that wrap you back into the loop, meaning we already know how this goes. This is familiar. I can handle this. This situation is not that bad. The situation may improve. Just give it time. Don't give up, and things like that. So those sayings in our minds keeps us in the loop. And that brings me to the next point. Part of you gets some type of payoff by being in the loop. So let's take the example of the relationship, codependent relationship, where you have somebody that cheats on you. So the payoff, so you might ask yourself, why would somebody stay in a relationship where they're constantly being cheated on? You have to ask that person the question, what do you value? And that person may say they value being respected, not being cheated on, being loved equally, but really their actions show you and should show themselves that they value companionship. They value not being alone. And those baseline values are really what's taking precedent over any other type of self-love value that they say that they want. They don't want to be alone. So they can't get rid of this person, because if they get rid of this person and really was to choose themselves, they may be alone for a little bit. They may have to have some standards, which may cause them to have to reject certain partners and not put up with the same behaviors. And so that pattern is then thus established based on unaware, if that's a word, unaware values. So again, you go in, you enter the loop based on your coping mechanisms and techniques that you have established over the course of your childhood. You come and you're in that codependent relationship. You're in that codependent relationship with food, with another human, with your job. That's another big one. And there's multiple triggers that happen that remind you of why you need to leave the situation. So then you get into an emotional low state, and this is where you're depressed, you're angry, you act out of character. That emotional state that really clicks your awareness and says, holy crap, I need to get out of this situation. So now you travel on up the loop and you make the decision to exit the loop. This is the last time I'm going to deal with this. I'm finally going to put my 2 weeks notice in. I'm finally going to get on that diet. And you are exhausted from coping, basically, is what's happening. You're exhausted from coping. You're exhausted from coping, and you're sick and tired of your bullshit. Then you take action. So you actually do the things that you said you're going to do. Maybe you have a conversation with your boss. Maybe you have that conversation with your partner. Maybe you have that conversation with yourself and you throw away all that junk food. And now, this is where the test begins. Because now you're in an emotionally high state. You're in an emotionally low state, which triggers the awareness. And now you're in an emotionally high state where you're feeling good about your decision to exit the loop. Maybe you've put that into practice for a good week, 2 weeks, a month, and you get a dopamine high. You're feeling stronger, things improve. Now you have a lower motivation to take action because you're no longer in that emotional low state. So your motivation decreases. And you would think that your motivation increases because you keep feeling the goodness of being out of that emotional loop. But coping mechanisms established in childhood that are only just now getting broken in adulthood take work. Takes conscious effort. It's like it's like an addict who has to, one slip up can bring them right back into that addiction. It's constant work, right? So now you go back into coping techniques. You start to cope a little bit. Maybe with, you broke up with your partner and now he's your ex or she's your ex. But maybe you look at their Snapchat. You kind of look at their social media. And then you start to reminisce on the good days. Maybe you have that piece of chocolate because you've been doing so well, right? You're doing so well. And you can indulge this once, right? Maybe you depend on the reason why you quit your job. You want to become an entrepreneur. But you realize, like, I might need to make money much more quickly. I value money over freedom. And you start applying to 9-to-5 jobs instead of working your business. So all of these coping mechanisms start to creep back in slowly and slowly until you need that hit of what you've been missing. And thus you get looped back into the loop again. You get sucked right back into that loop. And this is where you have to be honest with yourself. So now we're going to talk about how to exit the loop. There's 4 steps to exiting the loop. 1, awareness. This is during the decision-making stage. This is after your emotional low stage or during your emotional low stage when you are making the decision to exit the loop. You have to have awareness that you have been in a loop in the first place. If you don't see it as a loop, then you'll never understand that making the same decision will keep getting you the same result. You have to see it as such. You have to see it as an insanity loop. That awareness alone will make it so uncomfortable that even if you continue to be in the loop, you can't unsee it. So that's the first and foremost step. It's not about changing your behavior. It's about the awareness. 2, you have to be sick and tired, and I mean sick and tired, of your bullshit and the bullshit of the other party, whether that be the person, the job, the food, the circumstance, the situation, the conversation. Be tired of your bullshit. That comes along with the awareness. Once you see something, you cannot unsee it. And you see the bullshit for what it is. You see your patterns for what it is. You can no longer hide from it. It's no longer in your subconscious. You're no longer on autopilot anymore. Congratulations. And once you get tired of that, you can move on to step 3. Understand what you truly value. This part of the awareness comes in when you start to get sucked back into that loop, when you get that hit of dopamine and you get sucked back into the loop. Understand what you truly value. If you understand what you truly value, one, there comes more understanding of yourself. So know thyself. For example, with that 9-to-5 job, if you truly value stability, then entrepreneurship was not your way to go in the first place. And maybe there's another way to exit the loop versus quitting 9-to-5 and going to start your own business. Maybe there's a type of 9-to-5 that you need to be looking at. And that will make it a little bit more stable for you when you decide to exit the loop because your current job is making you depressed. Maybe you value cooperative relationships on your job. So working in an isolated type of environment may not be the best. Does not mean you need to quit cold turkey and do something completely different. Understanding where your values lie will help inform when you get to that decision-making stage of the loop what to actually decide on. Decide appropriately and not reactively. And 4, don't look back. I don't know if y'all have ever quit something for good, or at least your intention was to quit it for good, and then you added it back into your life and you realized it's even harder the second time around to leave it. I don't know what it is, but if you ever quit something and you go back to it, you might as well add that to your life, because it's going to take 2 times, 3 times the effort to leave it again. Let me know in the comments if y'all understand what I'm saying. This is real, right? So don't look back. Once you decide to leave something, to exit the loop, do not look back. Now, your brain will tell you different reasons as to why you should go back, because your brain likes familiarity. Your brain likes predictability. No, the situation will not improve. No, you're not missing out on anything. No, you should not stick it out. Believe yourself the first time. That's a big one. And I'll probably make a separate video about that concept. Believe yourself the first time and stop gaslighting yourself. You felt that emotional low for a reason. And you continue to feel that emotional low for the exact same reason. Believe yourself. You are so important. And it's important for you to be high functioning and continue to progress forward on your journey, especially if you call yourself a light worker and you feel like you have a purpose on this earth that's greater than yourself, that's in service to humanity. It's important for you to see these insanity loops as for what they are. All right, this is the whole reason why I'm bringing this information to you guys, is because we need people, heart-centered people, to be able to get on their duty. It's no time to waste. Now, you will see that you have multiple insanity loops in your life. You may be currently in one. I just got out of an insanity loop as it pertains to career and work. You may find that your insanity loop repeats in a different arena. So maybe you exit one insanity loop, but again, because of that coping mechanism, because of fear, because of other situations, circumstances, excuses, yada, 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 you may find yourself entering another loop with a different face, but same mechanism. It takes work. It takes awareness. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. And you gotta make a change. And you can make a change. Just breathe into your stomach and keep doing it as often as you need to. And then decide. Happy journeying.